This is the story of a story. Once upon a time, in a faraway place, there lived a story. Yes, you heard it right, a story. It was a lovely story. It could make anyone happy, but no one had heard it yet. The story waited to be told. It waited for many years. If only it could meet that one person who would get to know it, tell it to his friends, and those friends would tell more people, and a lot of people would be happy. So thought the story, and it waited. It went from place to place. It stood in hallways, in books, and waited. Finally, after many years of waiting, a little child found the story hidden in an old book that she was going through. The books had its pages torn, but then she knew enough of it from what she read to know that it was a lovely story. I have to tell this to my friends, she thought. And she had the story in her mind, and she took a few steps down the road, thinking of the joy that she would bring to her friends when she told the story, when she suddenly stopped. Doubts beset her. She thought, what if nobody likes my story? What if I forget it while telling it? What if I get stuck? What if I don't know the story that well? And when these doubts began to plague her mind, she decided to put the story away for now. And so she started to walk back. And as she was walking back, she saw that someone was walking towards her. He was an old man. He wore loose white clothes. On his head was a red turban that shone in the sun. He had a small drum placed on his shoulder, hanging by a thread. And on the other shoulder was a worn-out bag. He walked towards her. He stopped in front of her, looked at her and smiled and said, "Looks like you have a story to tell." The girl was surprised. She said, "Yes, but I have put it away for now." The old man bent down towards her and spoke to her in a very kind voice. He said, "That story would have waited many years for you to come in touch with it, for you to get to know it. That story is a gift to you. And like any gift, it spreads joy when it's shared. There are people waiting to hear that story from you." But the girl said, "I'm not sure I know how to tell the story." The old man said, "That's no big deal. I can help you. I am an old storyteller. And in my bag, I have," and he pulled out something which he said was my story toolkit. "A toolkit for stories? What does that have?" said the girl. "Every tool that you need to tell your story well." "Wow! Like what's in it?" "Let me show you," said the man. And he pulled out what was, look what we got here. This is a story mix. It's all that you mix to make up a story. "A story mix?" said the girl, surprised. "Okay, it's like this. Now, if you were to go into the kitchen to make a dish, you would need some ingredients to go into a dish, right? Like you would need vegetables, you would need some spice, you would need some oil maybe, and all of this go into the dish. Similarly, there are three ingredients, at least three, that go into a story. Let me tell you what they are. So the people in the story, the places in the story, and then finally, what happens in the story. We call them characters, setting, and plot. If you have these three, then you have your story mix and your story can be made. That sounds very interesting, said the girl. Now let me show you something else. This is a story map. A story map has all the events of the story hung together like in a movie. So you just pick the images of the story that you want to tell and you can tell them. Nice. More things follow. How about bringing in some character voices like a king? Oh, like somebody else. Oh, you could be happy or sad. Or you could be anything with your voice. And people would love it. Or you could bring in some music. A sailor went to sea to see what he could see, but all that he could see was the bottom of the sea. You could bring in gestures. You could do a lot of things to make your listeners very happy. The girl said, wow, I'd like to tell a story like that. The old man said, let's get started. But first I have to tell you a story.